Good YouTube, it's your boy Blueblood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, retired, legendary, iconic, Hall of Fame, superstar boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr., the man known as Money, retired 50-0. Floyd Mayweather turned promoter, founder of Mayweather Promotions, the highest grossing athlete in the history of the sport of boxing, one of the highest grossing athletes in the history of sports overall, okay, made $1 billion without sponsors in the sport of boxing, without sponsors overall, is unheard of. Floyd Mayweather holds all the top records in the history of the sport of boxing: pay-per-view, live gates, money earned, okay, revenue, checks paid, how much he got paid. He holds all the records. Floyd Mayweather does, right? So Floyd Mayweather, he did an interview. Now, Floyd Mayweather recently been doing a lot of exhibitions, okay? And he's been making big money off of doing exhibitions, okay? And Floyd Mayweather, he's still a major draw within the sport of boxing, although he's in advanced age, right? He's just so polarizing and imposing in the sport of boxing that Floyd Mayweather, he can come back today and he's still the most talked about boxer. When he says he's the most talked about boxer still currently today and he's retired, he's 1000% correct. He is still the most sought out, talked about boxer, period, right? He's still come back and do the biggest numbers in boxing, period, right? Even at 45 years of age. He's 45 years of age. He retired undefeated, okay? The last time we saw Floyd Mayweather in the ring in an official boxing match was quite some time. Now, we've been seeing him do exhibitions, okay? He retired 50-0. Obviously, no loss, no draws. 27 wins by way of knockout. The last time we saw him in an official boxing match with a real boxer was September of 2015 when he took on former world champion, superstar boxer Andre Berto, okay? So it's been 7 years since we've seen Floyd Mayweather compete in an actual boxing match against an actual boxer. Now, after that, he did have the second biggest fight in the history of the sport of boxing, okay? Or history of combat sports overall, when he faced off against UFC legend, iconic, future Hall of Fame superstar in Conor McGregor, okay? Now, that was August of 2017. Right, so he was out the ring for 2 years after the Andre Berto. Then he came back, he fought Conor McGregor, okay? But Conor McGregor, he never had a boxing match. That was his first time stepping in a square circle and on a professional level. So he never had a boxing match, but it still counted because it was a sanctioned boxing match, okay? And so with that said, Floyd Mayweather, he's been doing exhibitions. He did an exhibition most recently with Dangerous Don Moore. That was back in May. He did a exhibition with Tenchi, so this is what he's been doing. He's been doing these exhibition bouts. He did an exhibition with YouTube sensation Logan Paul, right? So that's what Floyd Mayweather has been doing. So he's now announced that he's going to have another exhibition coming up. He says 2 more exhibitions, but then he drops a massive bomb and information and says that he's going to have an official boxing match as well, right? Now, we know Gerald Tucker, better known as GT the Great, who trains Floyd Mayweather now, because we know Floyd Mayweather's late, great, legendary, well-renowned Hall of Fame trainer and former world champion Roger Mayweather has since transitioned, and Floyd Mayweather Sr., his father, is not in the best position health-wise to be able to train Floyd Mayweather for an official boxing match. And I personally think that's why we have not seen Floyd Mayweather compete as against another official boxer, right? Because I believe he's not comfortable with his corner right now. He lost Rafael Garcia, his cut man. He transitioned. Roger Mayweather transitioned. So, his corner is not the same. His dad is not in the best health to train him. He's forgetting things. So I don't think he's, I think that plays a major part in why he hasn't competed against an official boxer. Well, now he's with Gerald Tucker, GT the Great, on social media. And Gerald Tucker has been saying that it's of his belief that Floyd Mayweather's comfortable with GT. He's getting the routine. I think that Floyd Mayweather personally is, doing these exhibition bouts, to get himself acclimated with training with GT, to prepare for a real fight. And GT has been saying he believes that Floyd Mayweather's going to have one more official fight. You have Clarissa Shields, right? 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 3-division world champion, undisputed in 2 separate weight classes. The quote, Clarissa T-Rex Shields, she's been saying that she trained with GT the Great as well, and she was privy to Floyd Mayweather sparring and training and things of that nature. And she recently stated that she believes that Floyd Mayweather can beat all the top welterweights right now, and she believes that he's actually going to do it. He's going to come back and have one more fight, okay? And so, with that said, Floyd Mayweather announcing that he's going to have one more fight. He's going to come back and have a fight. Well, that's not shocking. Well, now it was being reported that he was negotiating a rematch, a second fight with Conor McGregor. Okay, that's what Floyd Mayweather was looking to do, have a second fight with Conor McGregor. But that fell through, as Dana White, who is the UFC president. The UFC doesn't operate the same way boxing. UFC is not the Wild Wild West. They have they have Dana White, who controls the UFC, right? They don't get paid as much as boxing, but it's way more organized than boxing. But at the same time, it's under the ruling of one thumb, and it's Dana White, right? And so Dana White, he recently came out and he stated that it ain't happening. When Conor McGregor gets healthy and is ready to compete, he will be competing in the UFC, right? So there was reports that Floyd Mayweather was going to face Conor McGregor again in boxing in September, okay? But now Dana White has stated that's not happening. He said that Conor McGregor is still under his contract. Conor McGregor is still under his thumb, essentially, and Conor McGregor is going to have to compete in the UFC, not in the sport of boxing. And Dana White stated that he has no interest in staging a Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather rematch. So, they're trying to set up rematches for Conor McGregor in the UFC, big fights in the UFC for Conor McGregor. So, at least 2 more fights, Dana White was saying that Conor McGregor is going to have to honor in the UFC. So, it looks like he's off the table. Now, another interesting name came to my mind. Now, this is, no source has told me this. This is just me speculating. But I thought about it. Who can Floyd Mayweather come back and compete against, right? That would be a respectable fight for Floyd Mayweather, would be a big fight for Floyd Mayweather, and would be considered an official boxing match, and he would get credit for it, right? And I thought about it. Is he going to compete against undefeated unified 3-belt WBC, WBA, IBF, Ring Magazine welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be top 2 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and Earl the True Spence Jr.? No. Is he going to come back and compete against undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight, undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Terrence Bud Crawford? No. And not just because of the level that they're at, but because they make for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, and everybody's anticipating and clamoring to see them face each other. So that takes them off the board. Is he going to face off against undefeated rising welterweight superstar title contender and Jerome Boots Ennis? Absolutely not. Is he going to compete against, the likes of a rising Mexican superstar undefeated welterweight title contender Virgil Ortiz Jr.? Possibly, but no. That would be a good fight for Floyd Mayweather. It's definitely a winnable fight. But is he going to fight Virgil Ortiz? No. Virgil Ortiz is not established enough for Floyd Mayweather. That's a winner. Floyd Mayweather will win that fight. But Virgil Ortiz status is not big enough for Floyd Mayweather. So no, he won't fight Virgil Ortiz. But another guy came to my mind. Now, many people are going to speculate and say, Well, maybe it's a rematch with legendary 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. That's a strong possibility, right? That's a very strong possibility. It could be Manny Pacquiao, right? Because of the storyline, the excuses, and Manny Pacquiao saying his shoulder was injured, and and it's still people that believe Manny Pacquiao would beat Floyd Mayweather, so it would sell. Would that be Manny Pacquiao? Strong possibility. But there's another guy that comes to my mind, and that's former unified welterweight WBC, WBA world champion, superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. Keith Thurman is 33 years of age, okay? Keith Thurman is, still has credibility, okay? Keith Thurman is a former unified world champion, okay? Keith Thurman is with the PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, okay? Keith Thurman has one loss on his resume. That came at the hands of Manny Pacquiao, okay? Keith Thurman is 30 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 22 wins by way of knockout. Like I said, he's 33 years of age, 5'7.5" with a 68, 69-inch arm reach. Keith Thurman was once upon a time the mandatory challenger for Floyd Mayweather. Keith Thurman was the replacement at welterweight for Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao to take over, right? He was a new face of the welterweight division when Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather was retiring and they was no longer going to compete. Keith Thurman became that guy. And as time went on, and inactivity for Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, 2-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Sean Porter, 2-division world champion Puerto Rican superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia, these guys emerged and they took over for Keith Thurman. Although Keith Thurman beat Sean Porter, he beat Danny Garcia. Inactivity zapped Keith Thurman. Then he had lackluster performances. The fight with Josito Lopez, then the fight with, he lost to Manny Pacquiao. Then he had 2.5 years inactivity, came back. He fought Mario Barrios, a guy Gervonta Tank Davis had knocked out. Moved up 10 pounds to fight Mario Barrios at 140 and knocked out Mario Barrios. Mario Barrios, very next fight, moves up 7 pounds to welterweight from 140 to 147, takes on Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman, shows vulnerabilities in that fight. Keith Thurman is a mouthpiece. Keith Thurman can sell a fight. Keith Thurman fought Manny Pacquiao. Keith Thurman only has 1 loss. It makes sense. That could be a perfect fight for Floyd Mayweather. Keith Thurman. That would be the ideal fight for Floyd Mayweather to come back and fight Keith Thurman. Right? And so with that said, I think it's out of 2 guys. I think it's between Manny Pacquiao and I think it's between Keith Thurman. Right? People can complain all they want. And they're going to say, and they're going to cry, and they're going to kick, and they're going to scratch, and they're going to say, we're tired of seeing Floyd Mayweather. We don't want to see Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather come back and fight Keith Thurman, everybody's going to be tuned in. Even more so than Floyd Mayweather fighting Manny Pacquiao. Why? Because it's a new face. It's somebody we never seen him fight. Keith Thurman is 33, Floyd Mayweather is 45. He's 12 years younger than Floyd Mayweather. Keith Thurman is a naturally big welterweight, bigger than Manny Pacquiao. We seen Manny Pacquiao get knocked out 3 times. We watched Manny Pacquiao get outboxed, outclassed by Eric Morales, and most recently, Yordenis Ugas. So it's expected Floyd Mayweather is still, in shape. He's still active to beat Manny Pacquiao, right? But Keith Thurman would be intriguing because people would say, well, Keith Thurman is still young. Keith Thurman got power. Keith Thurman still got legs. Keith Thurman is still strong. Keith Thurman is a good boxer. Keith Thurman is mobile. It would sell. It would sell. So we got to see how it unfolds. And we know how Floyd Mayweather is. He always says, I'm able to contradict myself. I'm only human. So he announced that he's come back and have an official fight. I believe it's between Keith Thurman, Conor McGregor, and Manny Pacquiao. So let's see how it unfolds and plays out. Floyd Mayweather's liable to turn around tomorrow and say, no, it ain't happening. So we got to see how it unfolds and plays out. But all the people that's going to tell you they have no interest in intrigue and watching it, if Floyd Mayweather signed the dotted line to fight Keith Thurman, everybody's going to be tuned in. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Road. Make sure you like the shitty videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.